Alright, I think this is recording. Is it recording? Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Hello, this is Miles, and I am greeting you from the future. Welcome, this is your week 1 video for the 10X program. This is the first one I'm recording, so we're like discovering how this works all together, and it's gonna be awesome. So by now you should have almost everything you need to play your 10X game. Put simply, in order to play, you need 3 things on a high level. You need a vivid, compelling vision of where you're going and what you want to get. You need to have milestones, things or accomplishments, road marks on your path to achieving that vision, and you need to have actions that you need to take to achieve each of those milestones. For this first video, what I want to focus on is how does all of this work? How are you actually going to play the game, and why is all of this stuff important? And if you're like me, like all of this vision and stuff and actions and stuff, it might sound a little bit like law of attraction, and to an extent it is. However, what I've done over the last few months is really look at why do so many people believe and follow these principles and the law of attraction, and why does it work? And what I discovered is that it's actually not this magical thing where you sit in your room and create a picture and then everything is delivered to you. There's actually a set of specific mindsets and behaviors that trigger us psychologically, cognitively, emotionally, and behaviorally to actually actualize the visions that we imagine in our minds. And so essentially what I'm going to do is spend this video teasing all of that apart. And without further ado, I'll just jump right in. So first thing, the number one thing that you need to play this game is a vivid, compelling vision that makes you feel warm and tingly on the inside. You have to imagine that vision as if you were already there. And you have to allow yourself to actually get the feelings of already having it. Right? So some questions that you ask yourself to create that vivid picture is, you just close your eyes, you think of the vision or the thing that you want, you say, alright, where am I? What am I doing? What do I have? What's in my space? Who's here? Who are the people that I'm spending my time with? What are our interactions? How am I being? What am I feeling? How are they being with me? Very vividly, you want to ask yourself and answer, what did I have to do to get here? Right? Who did I have to become? How did I have to grow? And you want to see yourself having taken all of those actions or had those major shifts in who you are. And then the last one is what am I grateful for? Now that I have achieved all of this, now that my life looks this way, what am I grateful for? And then you just want to spend a couple minutes just soaking in those emotions. And I encourage you to feel everything, including happiness, relief, pride, etc. And one of the key emotions that you want to allow yourself to feel is gratitude. There's a reason why these emotions are so important. These feelings, especially gratitude, stimulates the release of 2 key chemicals in our body. One is dopamine and the other is serotonin. And I'm going to spend some time diving into why both of these chemicals are important. Dopamine is the goal and reward chemical. So it gets released when we see a goal that we want and as we take action to achieve our goal. So it's when you are hungry and you see a free sandwich sitting over on the counter over there, all of a sudden you get a burst of dopamine. And as you get up and go closer to see, is this really free? You get even more dopamine until you're finally biting into this delicious free sandwich. And you're like, ooh, dopamine. It's funny because by creating a vivid picture, an incredibly vivid picture of what you want, and giving yourself the feeling of getting that goal, attaining or actualizing that picture, you're generating motivation for yourself. you're stimulating or creating like this same hungry response as seeing a free sandwich over there. In addition to all of that, you're also priming yourself to pick up on cues that match your goals and your vision. So going back to the hunger example, when you're hungry, you're more likely to notice and look for food, and you're much more happy when you find it, right? It's like the phenomenon of getting a new car, because once you get a new car, you now have like a more vivid picture or representation of that car, and you're more likely to see it everywhere. That's exactly what happened to me like a couple months ago. I got a new Saturn. Saturns did not exist for me until I got this car, and all of a sudden I'm seeing Saturns everywhere. Like, where did these things come from? But that's exactly what the visualization does for us too. And because you've been not only picturing that, but giving yourself all these good feelings when you see it, then the cues are more likely, like you'll be out in an environment, see something that matches your vision, and then you'll get a burst of those feelings, right? So it creates this context of being more likely to notice things in your environment, and these things could be words, conversations, people that you see, information that you come across on the internet. It's noticing things that match your goals and also actually wanting to take an action towards them when they show up. That's why dopamine is so important, and that's why the vision and the feelings are so important. And then jumping really quickly over to serotonin, according to Simon Sinek, he's a guy who is an ethnographer, studies leadership. I got this from his video called Why Leaders Eat Last. Serotonin is referred to as a leadership chemical. So it gets released when we have experiences of status, increased status, celebration, acknowledgement, and like accomplishing our goals. And what happens when serotonin gets released is we have this sense of pride and confidence, which is key. Confidence is really key for the games that you will be playing, especially if it's an exponential impossible game, because what happens is, number one, you're more likely to take action and you'll develop a higher tolerance for risk, right? So you'll be more likely to take actions that you perceive as being risky when you have more serotonin in your system. So that's why it's important to visualize the accomplishment and the celebration and acknowledgement that would come from achieving your goals. The more that you repeat this type of full immersion visualization, the more that you are actually rewiring your brain so that those pictures and cues and actions become familiar, and you're more likely to think and act in ways that match your vision. The neural networks that are associated with it, they become more robust and they become more easily accessible and easily triggered. For this reason, I highly encourage you making visualization into a habit for yourself for the duration of this program. And you can do it however it fits you. You can do it maybe once a day, twice a day, like when you wake up, when you go to bed. You can do it once a week as you're planning out your week, whatever fits you. But actually doing this practice is really important. We can take it even one step further. Once you complete your entire game plan, once you know all of your milestones and the actions that you're going to take to achieve your milestones, you can actually begin to visualize, to see yourself taking those actions. And this is why, when we picture ourselves taking an action, like, and this is used a lot in the world of sports, when we picture ourselves taking an action, that activates the exact same brain areas as if we're actually taking the action in real life. Because of this fact, Olympic athletes use visualization in their training and performance all the time. As a matter of fact, one study was completed by the US rifle team. I guess they shoot guns. They were doing training, and they broke group up into 3 groups for training. One group practiced only, right? So they would spend like 2 hours a day, 5 days a week or something like that, and practice actually firing rifles. The second group practiced and visualized, and the third group visualized only. So out of all 3 of those groups, which group do you think actually had the highest performance? So if you're like me, you probably would say the middle group that practiced and visualized the firing rifles. And if you're like me, you would be wrong. The group that actually had the highest performance was the group that visualized only. This is really enlightening for us as we're playing our games. By visualizing yourself, seeing yourself taking actions, and pairing that with positive emotions, you're essentially biasing and predisposing yourself to take action. You're programming yourself that way. You're actually increasing your performance just by picturing it. In addition to like visualizing actions that you want to take every week, one key action that I encourage you to include in your plans every week is sharing. Is communicating with people in your life about two things. This is for two things. One is like what you're up to, what your values are, the game that you're playing, the vision that you're trying to actualize in the world. And the other is what you are discovering about yourself, about your motives, about how you have been conditioned, about your blocks, the things that are frustrating you, and what you're discovering about your game. And this is why. Assume that even though you're creating this plan, you actually have no idea what is actually going to take. You have no idea which actions are going to work, whether you have the right actions, which connections you need. You don't know. So by sharing and communicating frequently, you are actually creating a space to receive all of the information, to receive all of the ideas, to receive all the connections and assistance and resources that you didn't even know you needed. On an even deeper level, you can visualize people actually helping you, see people being generous, and see yourself being generous. And this is a third chemical that I didn't speak to earlier. Visualizing generosity and loving interactions releases this chemical called oxytocin. This is like the love and bonding chemical, but it's special for a particular reason. When you give, when you are generous, when you give of your time, your attention, whatever, it actually triggers oxytocin to be released in other people. And then they want to be around you. They want to be more generous to you. When you give, the universe gives back. Plain and simple. It's this law of universal balance. And it might not be like the specific people you give to give back, but you'll receive whatever you need. So you want to play the game of being generous as well throughout this program. So that's everything. I'm going to summarize it back up one more time. So in order to play your game and actualize your vision, you first need to create a vivid picture in your mind of actually having what you want. Include the accomplishment, include the people, include helping, include the actions that you're taking, include things that you see in your environment. Then you want to allow yourself to feel the emotions that are associated with all of those things that you see. Let yourself soak in those emotions. Then you want to take action. Not only do you want to take action, you want to visualize yourself taking the actions, especially the actions that you haven't done before, you think that you won't be able to do. And you want to, one of those actions is sharing and communicating about two things: what you're up to, your mission, your goals, your values, your vision, and then what you're discovering, your frustrations, your blocks, your things you didn't know that now you know about yourself or your game. Yep, so that's it. Thank you for listening. So what I want you to do is just talk about this. Whatever questions that you have about this video or these ideas, you can post them in Slack. Let me know, like, any clarification, any skepticism, like, yeah, but what about this? How about that? Whatever it is. And then we'll have that conversation and start playing your game. Peace.